When it comes to discussing Nigeria's oil and gas sector, there are a barrage of issues to dissect, from lax regulations, oil theft, decommissioning to environmental pollution. In view of these factors, the divestment in onshore investments come as no surprise. While these factors are not new to players in this space, the recent net zero target on carbon emission seems to be the last straw.
It's been a moving post. It's been a risk factor that we identified in one of our reports even from last year, right? I mean, the fact that from early last year you try and cast your minds back to early last year after the IEA report about trying to go green, and you saw a lot of IOCs show their interest, set carbon zero or net zero carbon targets, and also just trying to ensure that their operations get cleaner. And all of that was already pointing towards a direction that there could be increased risk for IOC exits. But come 2022, we're seeing factors play out like the Russia-Ukraine war that has also propelled higher oil prices, right? So, but even despite these factors playing out, what we see is that these IOCs are still very adamant on exiting Nigerian market. And I would also point out that it's not just a peculiarity to Nigerian markets. You would see that even in Angola as well, we're seeing quite, they've had that risk, play out for quite some time now, longer than Nigeria has.
Coming back into the terrain and what is supposed to, or what people think is the norm, we have insecurity, and that's very key. That I think that is actually one of the major factors, because you don't want to endanger anybody. You don't want to endanger your staff, your contractors, your vendors. At the same time, oil theft and sabotage, that is so in the know. It's almost like they're producing for somebody else.
Divestments to the tune of 20 trillion naira began 12 years ago. Many hoped the passage of the Petroleum Industry Act would serve as a silver bullet to correct anomalies and drive investment in the sector, which had lost 50 billion naira worth of investments owing to the uncertainty created by the delay in its passage.
It's almost like how he said, a stitch in time saves nine. I strongly feel that the PIA would have done a lot as at the time it was supposed to be. Of course, I look at the PIA as a working document, which means it would have certain times for amendments, and of course, I always say that's why the lawyers are paid fat sum of money. It has to be amended as we go by. Today, PIA is here, and we're grateful. At least there's a twist in a bit of the events that we have in the industry today. Would it have changed insecurity? I don't think so. Would it have changed instability in the industry? Maybe. Would it have given room for a bit of understanding with the host communities? Yes, because the host communities would have been carried along as partners, because the community is also theirs, and also the operator of whichever oil field or oil well that is sitting in that community.
It's hard to really paint that picture, especially because, again, like I said, I mean, it could have helped, with our case, because even before these IOC exits, one other situation we had, or a very good scenario that played out, is the fact that most of these IOCs were just sitting on the bench. They were not really willing to come in to put in their investments. Part of the reasons that were stated was because we're trying to get clarity on regulation. Regulations played out, and then that's still not compelling enough, right? So who knows exactly if, back then, we could have painted a more competitive picture for the oil and gas sector, made a case for an investment case for IOCs to go ahead with their investments, and that would have helped or to improve our case as far as oil production is concerned or oil investment is concerned.
While divestments create opportunities for indigenous players in the sector, it does not eliminate the issues bedeviling the sector.
It does not automatically take away all of the risk that we've seen play out, or it doesn't automatically mean that all threat is going to stop all at once. But they have, on the ground knowledge of what's happening, and they understand the peculiarities of our sector, and they're able to apply principles or apply policies in that regard. So that's definitely positive. I mean, and you would definitely expect that as the IUCs exit, as the transition goes on, that would definitely affect production at first.
Because a Nigerian company owns a certain oil field today, it doesn't stop a few things from happening. It basically is what is the policy they have as a company towards certain concerns. So I like to talk about corporate governance. I like to also emphasize about ESGs, which are some of the factors that as an indigenous company in this field, those are the kind of policies that you need to put in place to be able to shoulder a few of these concerns.
Divestment in the oil and gas space isn't peculiar to Nigeria's energy sector. As the call for energy transition grows louder, experts say an opportunity presents itself for Africa to create its own pathway in ending its energy poverty. Onyi Sunday, Arise News.